So what I want to do is talk about Game of Thrones, right? So recently, what I've been doing is I've been watching a lot of Game of Thrones videos, right? So from your what's this? From your BTS, like the behind the scenes. So the who's this company? HBO has been releasing like previous scenes from previous episodes and how they were shot. So yesterday there released a video about the camera crew behind the shooting of Game of Thrones, and they showed the scene where it's the battle of the bastards, right? So when people pile up on top of Jon Snow, if you don't know, they pile up on top of Jon Snow. You see, I think good camera work where the camera is just amazing. You don't notice it, right? So when watching that scene, I didn't think about the fact that there is a point of view from John while being crushed by the crowd or whatever where he's looking out that way. So in order to get the shot, it would mean that the camera had to be like what's this? Had to be sorry. The camera had to be underneath that crowd, right? So to look up, sort of. And then there is a shot where he rises from that crowd. So they just pile up on him, stamp him, and whatever. And then there's a shot where he rises up and tries to go over the crowd and whatever. Man, that shot is amazing. I also watched what was this? There's another analysis video where okay, so Game of Thrones is coming to an end. If you don't know, the final season is gonna start at on the 14th of April, right? So they're showing us behind the scenes and in the making of the thing. I think it's actually genius that they're doing it and now before the show is actually ended because everyone is interested in that. I'm not sure if they will be interested in the same way they did it afterwards, right? So this guy also who produced was this, episode 9 of season 1 where this guy dies. Who's this? Ned Stark, right? So everyone loves Ned Stark, and watching Game of Thrones, you think that okay, for sure this is the guy who's gonna end up ruling the Seven Kingdoms, right? But he just dies during the first season, and everyone is sort of crushed by that. I think watching Game of Thrones first time, seeing that you're like, man, where is this thing going? Where is the direction in all of this, right? And also, I think it was last week where I watched, what was this? I watched what? I watched. Who's this guy? Littlefinger, right? There's a guy who's a schemer there, who's after power, who uses techniques that wouldn't be used by honorable men, right? In the old age or in the fighting and wars and whatever. That guy owned a brothel. It's called a brothel or whatever, where you have prostitutes working for you and whatever. And then he moved on to marry Ned Stark's wife's sister or whatever, who was married to some other person who was Aaron or whatever. But it's a high position that he goes into, like on marrying that woman, and then he kills her and whatever, and then he goes down to Winterfell, and then he dies there, right? So there's a running theory that the killing of his character didn't seem too much scripted, like well scripted, right? So it happened so sudden, it was so surprising that they will kill that guy, especially that way, right? So there've been theories because before that scene, there are a lot of things that happen there that actually don't make sense, right? That you don't understand why they had to show that if they're just gonna kill the guy, right? So the running theory now is that the guy is not dead, uh, He's actually the one guy who's gonna end up ruling the Seven Kingdoms, right? Sorry about that. So he's the guy who's gonna end up ruling the Seven Kingdoms, right? So yeah, I think like I've been reading a lot of books and whatever, and not related to Game of Thrones. I'm just saying like books that are related to life in general, how life works and that stuff, and looking at what the activities or the things that happened there. It wouldn't be such a bad thing if that guy ended up taking the throne, right? Because almost all of the other people there who are like working towards sitting on the throne, most of the time uh, it's because they've been given, right? Like their birthright, most of them. It's like they are entitled to this thing. But if you see, look at Littlefinger, that guy is just working towards. So he's someone who actually would have earned the the throne if he ends up taking it.